Hey internet friends, something strange is going on in Atlanta, and it needs more attention. Of course, I'm a little biased because I'm from Georgia, infrequent Atlanta, but I'd like to give you a timeline of events, and maybe you can tell me what you think is going on. If you've never been to Atlanta, there are a few things we gotta get out of the way first. The first thing is Atlanta traffic is ranked amongst the worst in the world, with the average commuter spending 70 hours in traffic each year. Secondly, Atlanta is home to the Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport, also known as the busiest airport in the world. Third, the CDC headquarters are located in Atlanta, which makes the city a perfect backdrop for the Walking Dead TV series, following the events after the onset of a worldwide zombie apocalypse. And finally, if you recall, Atlanta does tend to catch on fire. Civil War jokes are generally not funny. Moving on to the timeline. At 6 p.m. on March 30th, downtown streets in Atlanta were closed amid a Red Mercury investigation. We received a call regarding a male coming into the facility carrying red mercury from Africa. Atlanta police officer Stephanie Brown said, "Red mercury is reportedly a substance used to create nuclear bombs, but according to the article I'm reading, its existence has not been documented." On Thursday evening, March 30th, an elevated section of northbound Interstate 85, a major north-south artery for the Southeast, collapsed that evening in Atlanta after a massive fire. And the official narrative on this bridge fire is that it collapsed due to a fire that was allegedly started by a crackhead, with the key witness being Sophia Brower. The same lady, Sophia Brower, supposedly located a man's dead body on the train tracks in Atlanta. Here she is being interviewed a year ago. It could be a coincidence that she's connected to both of these events, but she's also homeless and she's in the area pretty often, so it's not out of the question that she would be connected to these two events, but I thought it was worthy of noting. But she did say that the main suspect, Basil Ellaby, had confessed to her. So since Ellaby's arrest, 5 prominent attorneys have offered to represent him pro bono, saying that he was quickly singled out and hustled into custody to fulfill the desire of public officials to quickly identify and punish a culprit, and perhaps absolve the department of any responsibility for its storage of dozens of giant spools of petroleum-based conduit under a critical section of the city's highway infrastructure. Following the bridge's collapse, the U.S. Department of Transportation announced plans to spend $10 million in emergency relief dollars to assist with the cleanup and repair efforts on that portion of I-85. Fun fact, did you know that I-85 is 666 miles long? There's been tons of speculation saying that this was, an inside job, that we have to see who benefits from this bridge collapse. MARTA's been called out as a beneficiary of this collapse, and an anonymous said this bridge collapse was a result of Islamic terror. The very next day, the Braves won their first game at the newly built SunTrust Park. If you recall, Turner Field, which was in Atlanta proper, was the Braves' home from 1997 to 2016. But the new SunTrust Park, the new Braves Stadium, is now about 10 miles north of downtown Atlanta. So on April 3rd, an in-house lawyer who worked for UPS was shot dead in a busy intersection early that morning in what authorities are calling a targeted killing. And once again, many rumors have been swirling about why this particular lawyer was targeted. Some say she was looking into elite pedophile rings, while other people say that she had filed paperwork for more information on the bridge collapse. Now, when I look at her biography, it certainly looks like her experience might make her interested in the bridge. And outside of work, she was a member of the Georgia Asylum and Immigration Network, which provides free legal services to immigrant victims of human trafficking, domestic violence, sexual assault, and other crimes. So could she have been targeted for looking into the bridge collapse or looking into elite pedophile ring? Sure, that needs further inspection, I would suppose. The man accused of gunning her down had allegedly stabbed 2 people on a construction site the day before the attorney shooting. Surveillance footage captured her shooter approaching and leaving the area. He was super calm before the shooting incident, and after being arrested, he missed his first court appearance after guards found him biting himself and spitting blood Tuesday night. On April 4th, CBS 46 ran a story reporting that someone or something is killing thousands of birds in Atlanta. Since spring, the death toll began rising every week. And on April 5th, a former business manager for the Atlanta Police Department said she was let go in April of 2016, just 2 months after discovering that funds dedicated to buying patrol cars for Atlanta police were allegedly being diverted to fund car purchases for Mayor Reed's use. Mayor Reed is an interesting fellow. Last year, he was found traveling to non-emergencies in his vehicle while using flashing blue lights and sirens, which makes it sound like he's the driver, but he's probably not. But it certainly doesn't help his case that he attended a Bilderberg meeting in 2014. Many say U.S. officials attending this Bilderberg meeting violates the Logan Act, at least in part. After all, what do we know about the Bilderberg Group, aside from it being a shadowy collection of the world's power brokers who gather together every year? But maybe that's a different conversation from the one we're having now. On April 13th, firefighters put out a fire that flared up underneath a railroad bridge in Atlanta. There is still no confirmation on the cause of this fire. Yesterday, part of I-20 buckled and all westbound lanes were shut down. An underground gas leak was originally blamed for the buckling, but now they're saying there was no evidence of a gas leak. Yesterday was a pretty hoppin' day. There was also a toxic chemical leak yesterday morning after the truck carrying it was involved in an accident with an SUV on I-285. According to officials, the truck shouldn't have been on the highway in the first place. And you need to watch this. The video is super strange. It looks purposeful. This shut down both north and south lanes in Atlanta. The spill of benzoyl chloride, which the truck was carrying, which the CDC states, because benzoyl chloride is corrosive, short-term exposure can cause anything from tears and coughing to fluid in the lungs. And just last night, there was another fire under a bridge that caused the roadways to shut down. Firefighters said a debris fire started under the Peachtree Creek Bridge shortly after 9:30 p.m. Since traffic is terrible now, worse than it was before, and it was already terrible, people have been taking the public transit system here, which is called MARTA, which might sound not a big deal to you city folk. But down here, our public transit is an absolute joke. And it's been a huge debate in Atlanta for some time now regarding the expansion and funding for it. Anyway, I won't go on too much of a rant about that, but I thought it was important to point out that in 1956, President Eisenhower signed the Federal Aid Highway Act. The bill created a 41,000-mile national system of interstate and defense highways that would, according to Eisenhower, eliminate unsafe roads, inefficient routes, traffic jams, and all other things that got in the way of speedy, safe transcontinental travel. And at the same time, highway advocates argued, in case of an atomic attack on our key cities, the road net would permit quick evacuation of target areas. Now let me ask you this. Were our roadways that were built decades ago, I believe I-85 was built in the late 70s, were they designed to last without being updated, being reinforced? I don't think so. But that's what our tax dollars go to, right? So, if there was any criminal neglect, I suppose that those contractors and officials and corporations who would normally have the finger of blame pointed at them would have a lot to gain from blaming citizens for their failures. So I think in order to decide or have a stance on what's going on here, all the oddities that have been taking place in Atlanta over the last couple of months, we got to ask ourselves, who benefits from all this? So what do you think's going on here? Is it failed infrastructure? We just see crumbling infrastructure that needs to be renewed It's nothing nefarious. It's nothing to worry about. It's just growing pains for a growing city with a lot of travel over its roadways. Or do you think that maybe there's one too many coincidences here going on? What do you think? I want to know, because I am not entirely convinced either way. So let me know, and thank you all so much for watching and subscribing. Bye.